I'm going to ask this question, but I'm going to semi-answer part of it. If you're not doing the first part and focusing on the people, then I think her response is not going to be as helpful for you. So that would be my first piece. But the big question is, how do you go about asking for referrals?
Well, first of all, yeah, if I'm just going to be selling like, here, buy this car insurance, and not building a relationship. And then I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, can you like give me the name to your friends or give them my cards? I mean, I'm not really doing anything for them, Right. And so, it really becomes supernatural as part of just the process. After we're kind of finishing up and we've already had a great conversation, and typically, like, honestly, Maurice, it's more people like, oh my gosh, I have a friend that they would be great for you. You just, help them save money, or you're so helpful, or I a lot of times don't even really have to ask. But typically if I am going to ask, it's just a quick, like, yeah, if you know anybody that's looking for insurance, or if you know anybody that's like wanting to save money, it's just kind of a I have had people in the past that, okay, can you write down the names and the phone numbers to 5 of your friends? And I personally, that might work for other people, but for me personally, that has just been really uncomfortable and kind of doesn't feel good. So yeah, that's the approach that I take. I'll tell you a quick story. I had a guy call me to get a quote. It was actually just something off the internet. I call him and he was like, yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. And I said, well, hey, let me call the bank and let them know that you have insurance now. So I called the bank and I talked to the lady and she was like, you're so helpful. Can I get a quote too? And I'm like, yeah, okay. So I quote her insurance. I ended up rating her the same day. And then she ended up sending me to her coworker. So I'm like, it's just that level of customer service. It's not just about getting the business, it's retaining the business too.
There you go. That goes a really long way. I think, sometimes when we do talk about this asking for referral stuff, I think it gets missed that the work for asking for referrals is actually done before you ask. Right? Like it's all about, again, putting the person first. And you said something interesting earlier. You said, it doesn't feel right to me, right? Like I want to do for someone what I would want to receive, and making sure that I'm communicating with them in a way that they want to be communicated with. And doing all of those things creates this environment of like genuineness, right? And I'd say like you elude this genuineness when I'm working with you. So I'll say for somebody out there that's looking for a system, Danielle's system as far as asking might not work for you, but all of the stuff on the front end as far as like putting the customer first, and then, making sure that you are being mindful of how they want to be communicated with, and then making sure that you're doing the things to take work off of their plate, are the things that we're kind of like extrapolating out of what, you're sharing with us, because those are things that are easily tangible across any industry. Right. And we have to get to a place, especially as service providers, to how do I deliver something that someone just can't, take away? It's funny. So I was working with one of my clients here in the studio. For those of you that don't know, I run a podcast production company, and that's what we do. We help people produce podcasts and kind of coach them on how to improve their podcast. And so we finished an episode yesterday, and I was talking to them and giving them some feedback on some things in the show that I would want to see them do differently, and some things as far as distribution that they want to see, that I would want to see done differently in order to give them more bang for their buck. And like mid-conversation, they go, we've worked with other companies before and we've never had these conversations. And they were like, I don't know why we haven't had these conversations. And I'm like, I don't know either. I can only speak for what I want. And I want not only for you to work with me as a podcast host, but I want you to feel like the podcast is serving your business. And so I can't see something that is not serving you and not say something, right? And so that's just what my spirit is. And it's because of that spirit that I know if I called them right now and was like, hey, do you know anybody? Matter of fact, I know for sure that if they knew someone that was looking to launch a podcast, matter of fact, they've already sent me somebody that is interested, that I don't have to ask, right? And it's all that groundwork before. But there's definitely that process. So then the next question, right, is like, when do you go about asking for these referrals?
So kind of like you said, it's already everything I've done up until that ask is building that relationship. And it's not just about, as you're talking that communication, it's like just asking the right questions and listening. I think that's like the biggest part of what we're talking about here. But really just at the end of the conversation, Maurice, I don't really have some fancy system. I've heard of a lot of people in my industry, having lots of different systems that they use.
Yeah.
And again, like back to like what works for me isn't going to work for somebody else, and what works, like just being true to myself is important. And so I just, at the end of our conversation, I'm like, hey, if you know anybody that's looking for insurance, or if there's somebody that you think that I could help or benefit, like, please, send them my way.
It's interesting, right? So you're like, I don't really have a system, but you do, right? And so the interesting part about what you just said, I'm assuming this is after the conversation of typically like you've done the quote and they've signed up and they're now your customer, right?
Right.
So let me help you solidify your system. You ask after the value's been delivered.
I like that. I'm gonna write that down.
So you've done all the work, and so here's the interesting thing, and I think sometimes we don't like thinking about it this way, but I hope that somebody listening can receive what I'm about to share. We have to think about all relationships as bank accounts, right? And we have to deposit. Our deposits are the value and the feelings that we have people feel through the process of working with one another. And so sometimes we try to withdraw too early. And so if you haven't done the work, which is putting the customer first, making sure they're being communicated the way they want to be communicated to, doing the valuable things that remove the work and barriers for them to be successful, creating that environment of genuineness, then when you go to ask, it doesn't matter when you ask, right? It's like, it's a bad time because your account's already negative, or you get, or the bank accounts, it's like, you have to keep a minimum of $100. Like you got $10 and you asking for, $120 withdrawal. Yeah. And so like people are protective of, like, I think sometimes we forget the value of a referral, and not from our perspective as business owners, but from the perspective of the client. Like when I give you a referral, what I'm essentially saying is I co-sign on you as a person, right? And like, if you suck as a person and you call my people or you reach out to my people and they have a bad experience, now every time I refer somebody, they're going to think about the time that they got a call from you. If we think about it in that regard, like, hey, you saying call Bill means that you think Bill's a good person, means that if Bill's not, then what does that say about you as a person? Right. So it's like, let's do. I have had so many business owners that are like, I don't understand why people won't refer. And when I'm like in their store or working with them, I'm like, being around you doesn't make me say, if I send somebody to you, I know they're going to get value from talking to you. Right. So with that in mind, like, how would you, if you were talking to especially, I don't think we even gave, I need to step my host game up. We didn't give the context of what your role is. Like, so now you've transitioned from what you called scratch agent back into a corporate role of coaching other agents. So like, if we were having this conversation and we were talking to an agent and they're like, I don't know, I get it, right? I'm your agent. I'm saying I get it that I'm supposed to do all these things and I'm supposed to make sure that I create this environment of genuineness. How do I get there?
As you were talking, it was kind of making me think of, sometimes we focus so much on the sale that's all our focus can be on. So what if we just set the sale aside and like, what if we were okay with sending them to another company or another service? Like if that was the best option for them.
Yeah.
Because I've done that before. Like if I've quoted somebody and I'm like, this just isn't a good deal for you. Like I can't in good faith sell this policy to you unless you really want to, but I want you to know there's like, at least go check your options. If we're the best option, definitely come back. And also the fact that I've had experiences with businesses and I might not be a customer right in that moment, but depending on how they treat me, I may never be a customer ever. And so I would say that's like the other thing is, if I can't write you right now, or if I can't help you right now with whatever it is that we're working with, I want you to still think of me in 6 months, in a year, when you're going back to like, hey, maybe I should check this out again. This accident fell off my record. Now maybe I would, be, better rated. And I always ask people too, I know now's not a good time, but do you mind if I follow up with you like in 6 months or a year? Like, I always want to keep that door open. And even as customers, like I've had customers cancel, why are you, like I've had people say, why are you canceling for? And, get angry at me. And it's like, every time a customer is called and canceled, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, you have to leave, like, what's going on? And really checking in with them, be like, well, that's all right. Like, I get it. Stuff happens. Like, rates go up. Hey, can I call you in a year? Like, It's just so super important to like keep that friendship relationship open for future situations.